All right, good morning and welcome to The Agenda. The Agenda is coming to you live from the Dominion Brokers House, right here in the heart of Iyaganku, Ibadan. I am Chike Obogo. Now, they say in politics, 24 hours is a long time. But you see, in the last 24 hours, the political tectonic plates of Oyo State have shifted significantly. The news we've all been whispering about is finally here. That's Chief Adebayo Adelabu, the Penkele Mercy himself, has officially tendered his resignation as the Honorable Minister of Power to the President. The goal, a third and perhaps final attempt at the Agodi Government House in 2027. But the question isn't just if he is running. It is, what this APC? Does his early entry solidify the party? Or does it reopen the old wounds of 2019 and 2023? Well, joining me to dissect the economic and political implications of this move is an economist and public affairs analyst, Ignatius Ofino. It's good to have you back in the studio.
Good morning, Mazi Chike Obogo.
It's good to have you this morning.
I'm delighted to be here this morning.
Yes, well, the anticipation is there. You know, what many indigenes of your state have been looking forward to is finally here. And that's the resignation of the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adekola Abdulwahid Adelabu, one popularly known as the Penkele Mercy. Well, let's jump straight in. Adelabu is leaving a cabinet position where he has overseen some of the most radical shifts in the power sector. For example, we had the Band A tariffs, the Electricity Act 2023. Now, the question is, why resign now, just a full year before the 2027 elections? Why should he have, you say for his gubernatorial ambition, obviously, but he's made some reforms in the Ministry of Power. Why not wait to consolidate that and give up the gubernatorial election in Oyo State?
Thank you very much, Mazi Chike. I'm not the spokesperson for Chief Adebayo Adelabu Penkele Mercy, but I happen to be a public affairs analyst. And my job is to engage in constructive criticism. But there is one thing that is very germane: political ambition. When we are talking about Chief Adelabu Adebayo Penkele Mercy, one of the grandson of late Chief Adegoke Adelabu Penkele Mercy himself, you know that this man called Chief Adebayo Adelabu happened to be a man of pedigree. He was born from a noble birth. And there is one thing that is very germane about him. All his life, he has won what we call scholarship, academic scholarship. So nature has been kind to him as a person. And not just that alone. When you are talking about Chief Adebayo Adelabu, he's a great scholar. Do you know what it means for someone to graduate with a first class in accounting? That shows that the person himself is intelligent. He is the best among the rest. So when we are talking about Chief Adebayo Adelabu himself, he's a man that I see as someone who has a great idea to salvage the economic situation of Oyo State. But mind you, you remember what happened in 2019. The late executive governor of Oyo State, His Excellency, this man,
Abiola Ajimobi,
late Chief Abiola Ajimobi, had his own preferred candidate, Joseph Tegbe. But there is one thing you must also understand, that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu then was the national leader of APC. he also had his own anointed son in person of Chief Adebayo Adelabu. And at the end of the day, what happened? Adelabu was so lucky, he had sway. He was now being adopted as the party flag bearer for APC in 2019. And we all knew what transpired. I will never forget what happened in Bodija Market. When the late Chief Abiola Ajimobi, the executive governor of Oyo State, then presented Chief Adebayo Adelabu to the people in the Bodija Market. And at the end of the day, what happened? There was the distribution of gari and granite cake, popularly known as kuli kuli. The governor then was no fear to the party's candidate. He wasn't fear. We have to be honest to ourselves. Indirectly, he was demarketing Chief Adebayo Adelabu. You don't demarket your candidate for crying out loud. And it was one of those things that affected Chief Adebayo Adelabu. In that election, people were now saying that this man is going to be distributing gari and kuli kuli. I said this man was not the man that actually distributed gari and kuli kuli. It was Chief Ajimobi Abiola himself that did it to demarket. Probably was not happy that his own candidate, Joseph Tebe, was not endorsed by the national APC leader, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That's a story for everyone to learn. Then number 2, in 2023, when Chief Adebayo Adelabu was not given the APC ticket, then this man was given Chief Teslim Folari, the former Senate leader, was given that ticket. Probably as a way of expressing his dissatisfaction, he left APC and came to Accord. But when you are looking at Accord as a political party, I'm not trying to demarcate that party. That party has become a political spoiler in Oyo State. Ẹnu mi àgò, ẹ̀rù ọba ni mo bà, ọba tó mo súnmọ́ bá pẹ̀lú ìwọ̀n ẹgbẹ̀fà. Mo jìnnà sọ́ba pẹ̀lú ìwọ̀n ẹgbẹ̀je, ẹni rọ́bà fi lọ́ba pa ẹnu mi àgò, ẹ̀rù ọba ni mo bà, ọba tó. Do you know the person I'm trying to refer to? In 2011, His Imperial Majesty, okay, Ọba Abdulrasheed Adewolu Lajoda. I'm not referring to the king now. I'm referring to Senator Abdulrasheed Ladoja now.
Okay.
I want to crave for his indulgence. We all knew what happened in 2011. He was the one that actually floated Accord Party. And at the end of the day, Accord Party now became a party that actually conspired against the emergence of a second-term bid for Chief Adebayo Alawo Akala Aremuiko when he was contesting in 2011 for a second term. And we all knew what happened then. At the end of the day, Abiola Ajimobi of ACN was declared the winner. So Accord has been used as a political party, as a political party, to me, has been used as a political spoiler. It also happened in 2023 when Chief Adelabu became the governorship candidate of that political party. Because when you look at party supporters for Chief Teslim Folari, they always say it that Chief Adebayo Adelabu in 2023 was used as a political spoiler against Chief Teslim Folari of APC. So I'm just trying to tell you about the game of power play in Oyo State. When you are talking about the power play in Oyo State, it's full of intrigues. The power dynamics is there. Oyo State happened to be the political headquarters of Western region. I'm talking about Ibadan. So when you are talking about the political elite, we have the political elite in Ibadan land. We have even what we call the oligarchies in Ibadan land. Very powerful. So when you are talking about politics in Ibadan, it's not ordinary. It's something that goes beyond the physical. I remember what Ibadan did against the second-term bid of Chief Bola Ige. When they decided to float their own son, Dr. Omololu Oluloyo, and we all knew of who? Of MPN. It was difficult for MPN to defeat UPN. But at the end of the day, in 1983, MPN defeated what? UPN. So the battle factor is always there. So, but there is one thing you must also understand. When you're talking about Chief Teslim Forani, he's an Ibadan man. You talk about Chief Adelabu Benkelemes, he's an Ibadan man. You are talking about Senator Sarafaddin Abiodun Ali, an Ibadan man. All of them are potential governor, well seasoned. But when we are talking about Chief Adebayo Adelabu Benkelemes, I see him as a distinguished personality because of the course he actually studied, accounting, economics too. So when we are talking, he understands what we call financial accounting. When it comes to the issue of utilizing and managing what we call limited resources that belong to the people. Not just because he graduated with a first class. There is also one thing you must know about him too. He rose to the rank of becoming the deputy governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. It made me to remember Professor Charles Soludo, the former CBN governor of Nigeria, and presently the executive governor of Anambra State. These are scholars. They can be able to manage the resources of the state adequately based on economic theory and something that is practical.
Okay.
So I was when the president of Nigeria, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, decided to appoint Chief Adebayo Adelabu, I thought that he's going to appoint him into the Ministry of Finance. That was what I thought. But now he was given the Ministry of Power. When you look at the Ministry of Power, it is one of the most sensitive ministries in Nigeria. I see it as a death trap. Because I remember what happened to the late Attorney General of the Federation, Chief Bola Ige, Uncle Ige. He was appointed as the Minister of Power. Whereas this man read law. We all knew what happened. So when we are talking about the power industry, I keep saying it. Don't blame Chief Adelabu Benkelemes. No. That is not his field. His field is accounting. His field is economics. Assuming he did not perform there, I'm going to criticize him constructively. But it will be very difficult for me to criticize him in the Ministry of Power because he did not read power engineering. He read accounting. So I have to be fair to him.
Okay, but the buck stops on his table. Now, he's done his bit in the power sector, and he wants to become governor. He wants to become governor. Now, the question I want to ask again, that is on the lips of many people, is this. Is the APC ready for him? Remember, he left the Accord Party in 2023, and it was a messy. He left for the Accord Party in 2023 after a messy primary in the APC. Then, when he was ousted in the primaries, and then it was given to Senator Teslim Kolawole Folarin. Now he is back in the APC after being a minister. Is there a homecoming for him, or is there going to be a hostile takeover for him ahead of the 2027 elections?
There is one thing you must always understand. Once a politician, always a politician. When you are talking about Chief Adebayo Adelabu, he's a progressive to the core. He has been in the APC. He did not just leave the APC to Accord. No, there was a reason for that. You know, there was a spurious allegation leveled against Senator Teslim Kolawole Folarin that he hijacked the political structure of APC in 2022. That was why he was able to clinch the party ticket. So there was something. So there is one thing we call internal democracy. Assuming there was internal democracy and Chief Adebayo Adelabu lost out and he decided to leave, we'll have said that probably he was too over-ambitious. But here now, there was a spurious allegation that someone hijacked the party to his own favor. And who is that person? Senator Teslim Kolawole Folarin.
That was an allegation.
And I said a spurious allegation.
All right.
That was what I said.
Okay.
So when you are talking about politics, it's a game of power. So now, I did mention about Accord Party being used as a political spoiler by aggrieved politicians. But then, I'm not trying to demarket Accord Party. I'm not trying, because the executive governor of Osun State, Chief Ademola
Adeleke, you
Adeleke,
don't
yes.
Jackson Adeleke.
Yes.
He's flying the flag of the Accord.
Of the Accord Party.
Come August 8th in Osun
I
State
know.
election.
Yeah, a cousin to my own friend too, Davido.
Okay. Davido
Yes.
is your friend?
Yes, I like him.
You like Davido?
Yes, Baba Abeji.
Oh,
He gave birth to
interesting.
twins.
You like Davido?
Yes.
You're so
gave birth to twins.
excited.
I'm excited.
You're excited.
Yes, he gave birth to twins.
I never
I'm
knew you
twins.
liked Davido.
I love Davido too. Baba Abeji.
You can sing any of his songs?
Oh wow, I will try.
Just one before we go ahead.
There was one that I used to love for wedding.
Okay.
God help
You
me.
don't want designer. You never enough.
Yes, something like yes.
I'm helping you, but you guys go ahead.
Something like that. Something.
Okay.
So I love that song.
But you like the video.
Definitely, I love him, and I love everyone that give birth to twins. I'm always excited.
You are a twin.
I'm a twin.
Yeah, you are
If
a
I'm
twin.
coming back the second time into the world, if there is reincarnation, I also want to be born a twin.
Let's get back to Oyo State politics. Let's look at the battle for the soul of the Oyo State APC. Now the die is cast. It's now staring everyone in the face, especially political observers, those who are conscious politically. And let's talk about the strategy. Governor Makinde, that's Governor Seyi Makinde, finishing his second term. The PDP will be looking for a successor, as it were. Does Adelabu's does his resignation with from the ministry as a minister, does it give APC the first move advantage, or does it make him a target for every other aspirant within his party right now? Remember, there was this rumored consensus, and some days back, the consensus was said to be rested, and then they may be going for the red primaries. And we know the heavyweights there. They've been declaring. Sharafuddin Abiodun Ali declared last week Friday. We had the likes of Alao, that's Akim Alao Yedele.
Alao.
Yes, he also declared his intention. And we are going to be seeing the likes of Senator Teslim Kolawole Folarin, the likes of Adebayo Adelabu as declaring his own ambition. There's also retired Colonel Gbenga Adegbola from Shaki, who also wants to become governor. We have the likes of the international surgeon. He calls himself the international surgeon, Dr. Aziz Adedunton. These are heavyweights in the APC, many of them like that, who also want to declare their ambition. Now, do you see Chief Adelabu's resignation and joining the race as a first mover advantage, or do you see do you see him a target for every other aspirant within the APC at the moment?
Like what I keep saying, all the whole political aspirants, they are potential governor, but one person must emerge.
Okay.
But there is always a need for you to shift ground. If you actually love your political party, there is no room for independent candidate in Nigeria Constitution. There is no room based on the Electoral Act. But now there is always the need for you to reach a compromise. There are ways to go about it. It was easy for Chief Adebayo Adelabu to emerge in 2019 just because he had the support of Mr. President, who happened to be the national leader of APC. And in their own arrangement, he decides who and who becomes the party flag bearer in southwest Nigeria. But here now, in 2019, in 2023, it was difficult for Chief Adebayo Adelabu to emerge as APC flag bearer. But now we are in 2026 now. So it's a dicey situation. But for him to have said he have tendered his resignation, There is one thing you must understand. He's not a serial loser.
Okay.
You should not call him a serial loser because he contested in 2019. He lost for a reason. Best known to the good people of Oyo State. In 2023, he also contested under Accord Party. He lost. Everybody knew why he lost. And after that, there was a populist magazine in Oyo State. And that populist magazine was this. Adebayo Adelabu Penkelemes Lokan. It was there that if Seyi Makinde leaves power today, the next governor will be what? Adebayo Adelabu. Do you know that Chief Adegoke Adelabu must be compensated?
For what?
By the Ibadan people.
Why?
He was one of their finest.
Okay.
So sad that he was assassinated.
Okay.
So sad. You know, great men, they must be compensated.
So his son is now the
His
compensation.
grandson, yes.
His grandson is now the compensation. Is that what you're saying?
Definitely. I'm not trying to campaign for him.
Is it based on merit?
Let me tell you.
Is it based on merit?
Is he not qualified? He's a scholar.
Now let us look at the economic angle. You know, because you are looking at it from a compensationary perspective. You know, appointments or election by compensation oftentimes does not turn out well. It doesn't end well in Nigeria. We've seen several cases of compensationary appointments. But let's look at the economic optics right now. You are an economist. If Bayo Adelabu, if he wins the ticket and becomes the candidate of the APC, his campaign will be heavily scrutinized in the sense that his time at the power ministry was not palatable at all to Nigerians. If the national grid is still unstable by late 2026, will the people of Oyo State see him as a performer, or will they see him as part of the federal failure? What will he be campaigning on? Can he successfully decouple his local ambition from the national economic challenges Nigeria is facing at the moment?
Thank you very much, Mazi Chike. Chief Adebayo Adelabu is not the Minister of Finance.
But he was the Minister of Power.
He was the Minister of Power. And when we say somebody is the Minister of Power, the power sector in Nigeria has been privatized partially.
Partially?
Yes.
Okay.
There's one thing you must understand. There are 3 levels in the power sector. We have Gencos in charge of what? Generation. We have Transcos in charge of what? Transmission. Then we have what called the Discos in charge of distribution. Chief Adebayo Adelabu is just a supervisory minister. He's not the chief executive officer for Discos.
Okay.
So when you are talking about the Gencos, power generation can never be possible without the supply of gas.
Okay.
So there was a shortfall in the supply of gas. So when you don't generate, what do you distribute?
Okay.
So we are having what we call obsolete power infrastructure in Nigeria today. We are talking about the national grid collapsing. Those national grid, go and look at it. They are obsolete. The same thing also applies to the Nigerian refineries. Most of the equipment there are obsolete. We are talking about modern times. That is why I said before you can be able to have a stable power supply in Nigeria, you have to develop the steel industry. Because when you are talking about the power infrastructure, transformer, porcelain cable, high tension wire, concrete poles, you know the concrete poles. When you look at the framework, they are all product of steel. So here now, a man who read accounting was appointed to be the Minister of Power.
Is it compulsory to accept? Is it, and you are appointed in a position where you don't fit in? Is it compulsory you accept that position?
No, we are talking about rendering national service to the people.
To the detriment of your person, to the detriment
It wasn't to the detriment of his personality.
Of course, to the detriment.
It wasn't.
But it's happening.
No, it wasn't. We have to be honest to ourselves.
He has a negative popularity view right now in the country.
If you say so, I will not agree to that. Do you know why? We have to be fair to him.
Okay.
Professor Batunaji read electrical electronics,
yes,
power engineering. Assuming he was given the opportunity, we all knew what he did in Abia State too. He has his own private engineering power firm there. That is working. That is functional.
Okay.
Now, when you are talking about the Attorney General of the state, you must appoint someone that read law. Okay. When you are talking about Minister of Health, someone that read medicine, then how come you now decide to appoint somebody that read accounting, economics, to head power industry? You are not being fair to the person.
So
but this person wants to serve the nation.
Okay. The person wants to serve the nation.
Yes.
So let me give you an analogy, Comrade Ofino. You watch football.
Definitely.
Now,
I love football too.
In a team, we have 11 players on the pitch playing, 10 players and the goalkeeper. And then there is a coach or a manager on the bench with substitutes. Now, if a player on the pitch makes a mistake and the opposing team wins that game and your team loses, who will be blamed, the player or the coach?
You don't blame, there are two things. Sometimes you blame the player. Sometimes you blame the coach.
So who takes the heat?
The coach will be blamed the more.
Thank you. So Adebayo Adelabu was the minister of power. He is the coach in this instance. So the buck stops on his table. So if there is any failure in that ministry, who is to be blamed?
We blame Discos.
Not the Discos.
I blame Discos.
Not the TCN, not the Gencos, but the minister of power.
Do you know that Gencos are being owed money from the federal government?
Who is the minister? Who was the minister? Well, who is still the minister of power?
Government is a continuum. We are talking about the power infrastructure in Nigeria that is obsolete. The national grid keeps collapsing. Then we have what we call vandalization.
Okay, I know you're trying to make some claim for the minister, because he's still minister until April 30. Let's get that straight. Chief Bayo Adelabu is still the minister of power till 30th April 2026. That's when he leaves office. But he has dropped in his resignation letter. However, the buck stops on his table. So, if the failure comes, it is him. If success comes, it is him. So if Nigeria were to be generating about 60,000 megawatts, who would take the glory?
Let me give you an instance, Mazi Chike. Do you know sometimes because the player don't like the coach anymore, they will intentionally play less so that they can lose, so that the coach can be sacked?
Don't you think that's a conspiracy theory?
It's there.
Don't you think that's a conspiracy theory?
So it's there. The minister might want to come up with a laudable idea, and this coach will say no because we don't love this minister. Let's conspire.
But this
or certain persons might desire to say let's conspire so that the ministry will not work.
But the discourse you're talking about right now, discourse only distributes what is given to them, what is available. So if enough power is not available, the discourse can't distribute.
The minister is not in charge of Genco.
But he's in charge of power.
Power. But we are talking about 3 levels.
Under
in the value chain. Under power.
So he is the minister. The box stops on his table.
We are talking about the value chain.
But the box stops on his table.
Generation, transmission, and distribution. He's not in charge of what? Generation and transmission. He's just a supervisory minister for Discos. And Discos is a private firm.
Well, talking about the economic part, Ofino has his own perspective towards that. But in case you're just tuned in for the first time, you can drop your comments via the app X, and the handle is @DominionCast. We'll go on this break. I'll be turning to your questions and comments after the break. Don't go away.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
All right, welcome back from that break. It's still the agenda here, and I'm Chike Ubogo, and I still have with me in the studio Ignatius Ofino. Before we went on that break, we've been talking Oyo State politics, APC, and the resignation of the Minister of Power, that's Chief Adebayo Adekola Abdulwahid Adegoke Adelabu. Yes, there. We've been talking about that. He's the grandson of the late Chief Adegoke Adelabu Kwenkelemesi there. However, before we went on that break, I wanted to bring up this issue of the APC blocks. We have the Lamis block, we have the Senako block, and then you have the newcomers in the APC. Remember, many people left parties to join the APC in Oyo State. How are these people going to, how do you think they can synergize together, form just a block, and then capitalize on the woes of the PDP to making sure that they come out tops without rancor, and what happened in 2023 will not happen again in 2027.
That was one thing they must understand, APC. They must learn to forgive their past. That is the first thing. Because some of them behave like what we call political spoiler.
Okay.
There is what we call party supremacy. When you love your party, you will not work against your party. No matter what. No matter the level of provocation. No matter the level of denial and deprivation. If you are truly someone who loves that party, but if you love yourself, you don't care. Because they deny you the ticket. You now say, no, I'm going to work against that party. You are not being fair. There is one thing you must understand about party membership. It's just like a circle. Today you are in the northern axis. You move. When you now move, you come to the western axis. From the western axis, you go down to the southern axis. From the southern axis again, you move to the eastern axis. And back to what? The northern axis. Because in politics today, there is nothing like permanent friend or permanent enemy. But permanent what? Friendships, interest. So we have seen people that are in PDP today. Tomorrow they are in APC. From APC, they return back to PDP. We have seen people in APC because they were aggrieved. They went to PDP. Later again from PDP, they now return back home to APC. So that is why I said, as politician, you must always learn to forgive your past and forgive one another for the party interest. But before the election, there is a way you can be able to reach a consensus, because politics is based on two things: popularity and acceptability. There is one problem in Edo State now. Edo South Senatorial District, Pastor Iyamu want to contest, and Gareth Terebe, the state APC chairman, is insisting that Pastor Issa Iyamu is a serial loser. Adams Oshemole is also saying the same thing, that Pastor Issa Iyamu is a serial loser. He contested for governor under APC, he lost. He contested for governor under PDP, he lost. That they cannot afford to lose Edo South senatorial district. Let's go back to Senator Teslim Kolawole Folarin. Will you say he's a serial loser? No. He contested under PDP in 2015. He lost. He contested in 2023 under the APC. He lost. Will you say he's a serial loser? No. Buhari contested for 4 times. He lost 3 times. The 4th time he became our president, and he ruled for 8 years. Because
let's
we
put
have
it on
some people
record.
trying
Let's
to
put it on record that
Yes.
Senator Teslim Folarin has also been a perennial winner of his your central senatorial district.
Yes.
So he's a perennial winner.
Winner.
Yes.
At the level of the
Senate.
Senate now.
Yes.
But I'm talking about at the level of the governor.
Okay.
So you cannot say he's a serial loser. That is derogatory. So if you are saying that Senator Teslim Folarin is a serial loser, you are trying to make a derogatory speech or a hate speech, which is not allowed. The same thing also applies to Chief Adebayo Adelabu. They are not serial loser. What we can say is that at that moment they contested, the people felt that it was not their time.
Okay, it was not time for them.
Yes, it was not time for them.
Is this their time?
Because we cannot have 2 governors
In a state.
at the same time.
So is this their time now?
For now, one of them will emerge as governor, but the people will actually decide. But for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he has always been a serial winner. In 1993, he contested SDP for senator, he won. 1999, for governor, he won. 2003, he won. Now, he also contested again, he contested for president. In 2023, he won. So, His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, the Executive President of Nigeria, at this moment, is a serial winner based on his political track record. But for 2027, I wouldn't know what is going to happen.
Well, because of our time, we've been inundated with messages on our social media handle at the app X. Let's take a few this morning. Engineer Kunle from Bodija is saying, Chike, ask your guest, Adelabu oversaw the increase in electricity tariffs as minister. While it might be good for the economy, how does he intend to sell himself to the average or your voter who is currently struggling with high bills? Is his ministerial record a blessing or a curse? That's the question there.
I'm in a state of dilemma
Okay.
to answer such question
Why?
because I'm being careful. I don't like making derogatory statements against personality as a public affairs analyst.
Okay.
But like what I keep saying, revenue generation happen to be one of the ways ruling government provide basic needs to the people. That is one thing that is germane. And what are those ways government generates revenue? Through tariff and what? Through tax. There is what we call wage-induced inflation. The Nigerian Labour Congress requested for what? A new minimum wage. And the new minimum wage they asked for, actually it was not given, but there was a new minimum wage. And the tendency is there for it to trigger what we call inflation too. So when there was the outright removal of the oil subsidy, what do you think happened? There was increase in transportation costs. There was increase in tuition fees. There was also an increase in electricity what? Tariff. There was increase in rent. It was not Chief Adebayo Adelabu that removed the oil subsidy. The removal of the oil subsidy based on economic theory is justified. But to me, what the president would have done, he would have removed it in phases.
Okay.
And provide what we call mitigation through welfare policy.
Okay.
Not just outrightly.
Okay. Let's take this message from Alaja Risi Kart. She's sending this in from Ogbomosho. She says, we saw what happened in 2023 when the APC was divided and Makinde won with a landslide? Is Adelabu coming back to unite the party? Or is his ambition going to cause another accord situation where the votes are split again?
You know, I keep saying it, I'm not the spokesperson for Chief Adebayo Adelabu, but I have to be fair to him because he's also one of the Nigerians who is willing to serve the country. But there is one thing you must understand. According to what this man said, Niccolo Machiavelli, when he wrote in one of his books titled The Priest, he said, politicians are typically held in low esteem because they are perceived to be power-seeking hypocrites who conceal personal ambition and hide behind the rhetorics of public service. Do you know that there was one time they alleged against Senator Teslim Kolawole Folari that he distributed transformer in 2015? That when he now lost the election, he took back those transformers. Those are spurious allegations. I don't think it's possible for someone who has a political ambition to do so. I don't think. It's a spurious word. Allegation. Do you know that vandals can go and vandalize public utility? I've seen cases. Vandals, miscreants, vandalizing public properties, and people are not saying anything about it. So to me, when it was just a spurious allegation against Senator Teslim Folari, and when they were saying, I said, no, it's not possible for this man to do so. This man that has a political future, that has a political ambition will not do so. This is a blackmail. You know, sometimes politicians, typical Nigerian politicians, they believe in that conspiracy theory. They can decide to kill someone and not put the person's corpse at the backyard and now report to the police. Look at my opponent. He killed someone last night and you don't know anything about it. What happened? The story become what? A trending news. So there is a huge problem in this part of the world. There was one time they also made allegation against Chief Adebayo Alao Akala Aremu Iko that he was the one distributing what we call one of the Indomies.
The noodles.
The noodles. Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. Noodles. That even Mikra were being used to kidnap people for money rituals. That cost Akala second-term bid in 2011. So we are talking about Oyo State. It's a complex state. Very complex. If they like you, you are lucky. If they no longer like you, they will say Adegun Loni. Tomorrow they will say Adiogun. They used to love Engineer Seyi Makinde, but I don't think they love him anymore. Based on what we are hearing, we have to, because of the issue of the circular road, and I keep saying it, there is difference between red copy survey and certificate of occupancy. Yeah, so when you are talking about the CFO, it's the governor himself that will endorse it. Yeah, but when you are talking about red copy survey, it's the Surveyor General of the state. Yeah. So who do you blame for that? When you are talking about the circular road, most of them today, they were giving just red copy survey. Yeah, we'll talk about the circular road later on in subsequent editions because the governor just released some funds for them. But I want to take this last question. I have so many questions here, but I just want to pick this one, and that's Grace from Okeado. Let me take this from Tunde. Well, so many questions, I don't know. Let me take this. Grace is saying, what happens to the power ministry projects in Oyo State now that he's gone? We are expecting the transmission upgrades in Moniya to be completed under his watch. Will his successor care about Oyo as much as he did? That's it's a fundamental question. Yes. Government is a continuum. But there is one thing I've discovered in this part of the world, the way we think and we reason. Sometimes it can become what we call a moribund project, so that it does not end becoming a moribund project. Do you know that sometimes government will award contract and they will fail to release funds? We have seen a case of unspent funds in ministries in Nigeria. So for now, I think Adelabu must work on that to ensure that the next minister complete that project for the good people of Nigeria, domicile in Oyo State.
Well, insightful as always, our comrade Ignatius Ofino. Thank you so much for your thoughts this morning on the agenda. Yes, sir. The road to 2027 doesn't start next year. It started yesterday. We'll be here to track every turn. Let's keep this conversation going on the app X at Dominion Cast. I am Chike Ubogu. Stay positive and have a great day.